Okay, this is the 1-2 enrichment, basic constructions. So we're talking about optical illusions. So if you stare at that cube in part A enough, sometimes it looks like it's going back into the paper, sometimes it looks like it's coming out of the paper. So we're going to do this optical illusion here, so that I'm just going to go through it step by step. So it tells us to draw a circle and put a point A on the circle. And then using the same radius as the circle that we drew, we're going to mark off another point as we go counterclockwise, call it B, and basically do the same thing all the way around. We're going to do the same thing again and call it E. So we're just marking off the radius in the circle as we go around. And then we repeat those steps and get C, D, E, and F. So the radius hasn't changed on the compass. We're just going to mark off congruent arcs on the circle that are all the same radius as the original circle. So we're going to do point D. Be careful not to put too much pressure on the point part of the compass so it won't spread out. Do point E. And then also do point F. Okay, got that part. So use a straight edge to draw those segments, A to D. Then we're going to draw B to E. And then we're going to draw C to F. And they want you to use pencil on this because we're going to end up erasing some of the construction lines to get the 3D effect. And we're going to mark that intersection point in the middle I. So we want to find the midpoint of AI. So again, to find the midpoint, set your compass a little bit more than halfway, and you strike an arc above and below off each end without changing the radius of the compass. So there's above and below from the A part, and we do the same thing from the I endpoint. And where those two arcs intersect each other, when we connect those together, we'll find the end point. So we're looking for that point that's in between. So there's our 2 points. We use our straight edge, and we're going to label the midpoint of AI, segment AI, A prime. Okay, let's see what we got to do next. Repeat the steps to find the midpoints of those other segments also. So I can see now that maybe this might have been easier, more easily done if we'd used a bigger circle to start with. But it's pretty much the same process for each one of those segments. So when you have a lot of these together, it's you have to be careful because you got to keep track of the different arcs and keep them all separated. So notice how some of these overlap each other, but I still have to keep track of which one I'm doing because we're working to find the midpoint for each one. So we found the midpoint of BI, mark it as B prime. Can do the same thing for C, arc above, or to the left and to the right of CI, and then to the right and to the left of IC. Doing the arc on that side and the other arc where those two cross each other. Put our straight edge on there. And so I'm not exactly putting the dots in, because what we're really interested in finding out the midpoint. So I'm marking the midpoints on these. Same thing for DI. And we do the same thing from ID, from I to D. So a bigger circle would have made this much easier. Okay, point there. Use straight edge, connect them together, and then see where it crosses the segment. That's going to be the midpoint of the segment. Same process again for point E. So again, to find the midpoint, you strike an arc, you make your compass a little bit bigger than half the distance or the length of the segment, and you strike an arc above and below with a certain radius, and then from the other endpoint you do an arc above and below, and where those two arcs intersect each other, when you line your straight edge up, that line will pass through the midpoint of the segment. See how I use the compass there to figure out which arc to measure from, because all these different ones are overlapping each other. So same thing here, one side and then the other. And then from the other end, we do one side and then the other. And where those two arcs are going to cross each other, put the straight edge on there and mark the middle. I'm putting my pencil where the point needs to go. And we also need to find FI. And then for this section, we're connecting the points that they told us together using ink this time. And what we're going to do then is erase the pencil lines that are left over. So we can kind of see that we're getting sort of this cube shape idea, or cube shape out of this, these different points. So we drew the hexagon A, B, C, D, E, F. And now we're going to do the same thing with the midpoints. Notice I'm putting the pen down and then I'm bringing the straight edge up to the pen. That's the more accurate way to draw the line. Connecting all those together. I can kind of see the cube coming out now. When I was first doing this, I couldn't exactly see the cube. So I got that part. And now we need to shade the polygons to create the optical illusion. So I had to think about this a little bit, and I had to refer back to the original shape, but we're going to kind of shade the sides, these L-shaped sides, to kind of leave that cut, leave it looking like a cut in the middle. So I referred back up the page to the original one that they did to figure out how the shading goes. It was kind of hard to figure out what they're talking about by looking at them telling you just to generally shade in the polygons. So that's going to be a cut. that's going to be a cut edge, and then that there is going to kind of be the other part that's cut out. So I'm shading that in with pencil. That's that part there. Then I can see the top part needs to be shaded in, that L shape. I'm going to shade that in. And there we have a three-dimensional cube. I might want to darken in the edges to make it more obvious. And the front corner, front bottom edge in the front center needs to be shaded in to kind of give that cube effect, and also the one in the back there. There we go, that one there. And then that gives us our three-dimensional shape, which completes the optical illusion. So I got my eraser, and I'm going to erase in between to get rid of some of those construction lines and arcs to make the image a little bit more clear. And there we go.